This is a story about my bat mitzvah entitled The Bat Mitzfit. My cheeks were as hot as fresh hamantaschen cookies. I was up on a podium reciting from the Torah at my bat mitzvah, the traditional rite of passage for most 13-year-old Jewish girls. My eyes, wet with salt water, gave me a blurred view of the Hebrew texts. I knew that I shouldn't be there. All I could think about was how I could have possibly dug myself into such a deep, dirty hole. My belief in God was non-existent. I wasn't an avid supporter of Judaic ideals, and fundamentally, I was only up there because of a lie. I remember the first time I talked to my parents about whether or not I should have a bat mitzvah. We were in the den of a Tucson residence inn, freshly transplanted from Gainesville, Florida. I'd always imagined having this conversation in the big black chairs in our old fireplace room, but we were here, and I just wanted to go back home. Both of my parents had gone through with their bar and bat mitzvahs, and I could see no reason why I would pass up an opportunity to transform from girl to woman. I am a descendant of long-established Jews who are very adamant about keeping the normal Jewish traditions. Finally, after thinking about it, I decided to go through with it because A, I thought it would be amazing to have a ceremony that declares me a woman. B, it would make my family happy. C, I would get a ton of gifts. And D, my parents promised me a kitten. Not long after I enrolled in Sunday school, I began one-on-one Hebrew lessons on Monday nights. At the start of every week, I visited my Hebrew instructor's house for memorization of the Aleph Bet, the Hebrew alphabet. After a few weeks of my lessons, I began to get so burnt out on Hebrew that I started to wonder why I was even doing this in the first place. I couldn't even justify my beliefs in God. I began to realize that my justification for going through with the bat mitzvah made no sense, but my parents had already sent out invitations, booked a hotel, and set the date. March 13th, 2005. Lucky 13. As I sang my last bat mitzvah note, I felt the most immense feeling of relief. I walked off the velvety red steps leading to the altar as my congregation, friends, and family members lined up to shake my trembling hand. After a day of reuniting with my relatives, we headed to the after party. The ballroom at the Viscount Hotel on Broadway Boulevard was filled with booming hip-hop tunes. The round tables were sprinkled with confetti, disposable cameras, and plates covered with remnants of the four-course dinner, which entailed salmon fillet, mashed potatoes, and chocolate chip cookies. Something about having a full stomach made the regret hit me so much harder. The party ended at midnight. Had it been someone else's party, I would have left early, but it was mine. Fortunately, my parents had the foresight to rent a room at the hotel. I walked groggily up to our room, my eyes smudged with a conglomeration of sweat and mascara. The last thing I remember that night was tearing open my perfectly wrapped presents that I didn't deserve. I consider my bat mitzvah to be among the worst mistakes I ever made. I realized this right after I stepped up onto the cherrywood altar. I allowed myself to forfeit my honesty for gifts. I lied to my whole family. Something I can say, though, is that I transformed into a woman throughout the whole process. Even though I didn't experience profound acceptance of God, I grew up in a different way. Thank you.